Hey everyone, it's Carissa Wiley here for ellenhudson.com. Thanks for joining me today. Today I am sharing how to create a shutter card featuring the Fawn shutter card die set and add-on. This is such a fun interactive card and it is so easy to put together. And I'm going to be combining it with a little bit of cake. So that makes it even more fun. So here's a look at the Fawn shutter card die set. And here is the add-on, and I'm going to show you why the add-on might be important for you as we go throughout this video. Now, I've gone ahead and taken these dies out and clipped them apart with my die snips, and I am going to show you the base pieces that I will be using to put together the basic card. Now, these are the pieces that you're going to use if you do not purchase the add-on. So I'm looking at it here and you can see that large base piece. You can see kind of the bannery flag looking piece there in the middle. And then you have kind of that weird L-shaped piece and a circle. So I've cut two of the main element here, and you're gonna need one of these if you create it with the add-on and two if you create it without the add-on. And I've gone ahead and marked the score lines for you on each of these so you can see where they are. Now I've also cut two of these kind of banner flag shapes. And now I am going to take this first piece of this large base piece and I am going to trim it down. Now you're only going to need to do these next few steps if you do not purchase the add-on die. Now I'm not lining up with the score line. I want to make that clear. I'm lining up with the edge of these tabs. And because I have this nice aluminum rail trimmer that shows me where I'm cutting, this is rather easy to do. And I'm going to trim off that end, and then I'm going to flip it around, line it up with the edge of the tab once again, and trim it down once again. Now I'm not quite done yet. I'm going to also take and I'm going to trim off the tabs, but this time I'm going to do it right on that score line. So I'm lining up the score line with my trimmer there and just trimming off each end. And that's going to leave me with the panel that will go on the inside of my shutter card, but I need to have the window. And so that's where this fun little L-shaped flag comes in. It's actually not a die, it's just a placement piece. So I'm going to make sure that it's lined up in the upper right-hand corner of this panel that I've just created from that base piece. And I'm going to hold it in place with a piece of removable tape. And then I'm going to use the circle die that comes in the stamp set. And I'm going to push that right up against that lower part of the guide, that kind of curved edge of that flag, and hold that in place. So this little flag shape is just a placekeeper so that you know where to position your circle die. Then I can run that through my die cut machine and I have my window in my panel and it's ready to go. Now, if you purchase the add-on set, there is a one-piece die in the add-on set that will do all of that I just showed you. So you won't need to use this circle and flag shape. You can just use this single die, cut a panel, and you can skip those steps that I just showed you there. So I've gone ahead and done that, and this one has a little bit different finishing because it has some stitching around the edge, and then the circle does not have stitching. So this is the one that I've created using the base piece and the additional pieces. And this is the one that I've created using the add-on. Okay, so now that we have our panel created for the inside, whichever way you choose to do that, with the add-on or with just the base pieces, now I'm going to move on to working on the base of the card. And that gray piece there that you see, that dark gray piece, is going to be my card base. I'm just using colors that kind of contrast with each other so you can see each of the different steps well. Now I'm going to go ahead and fold on the score lines, and these dies do create the score lines for you. Now you may notice those two diagonal score lines on this dark gray base piece that are now folded towards the inside of the card. You want to make sure that those are on your inside of your card, and you're going to fold the tabs in towards those diagonal score lines as well. These are going to help you position those lighter gray pieces, which actually will create our shutter mechanism. So now on each of these folded tabs of these banner kind of flag shaped pieces, I am going to put a little bit of this score tape here. That's my preference. You could use liquid glue. It will just take a little more time to set up, but you do want to use something that's nice and strong. Then I can remove the backer from that score tape, and I'm going to line the edges of these little shutter pieces up with those score lines that were created by the die. Now I have them marked with black marker here so that you can see what I'm doing. In real life, they will just be score lines, but you will be able to see them quite well. So you can see I'm positioning this in line with those score lines, and I'm folding up the outer panel of the card to push that into the crease, and then I'm folding it over onto the adhesive, and that gives me my little shutter window that will open and close in this card. Now there's only one trick to this card, and it's that you want to make sure that these overlap in opposite directions. So if the right side is on the top, I want to make sure it's on the bottom little piece that meets up. That's the only little trick. So as long as they're opposite, you'll be good. Now I'm going to take some adhesive and I'm going to add it to the tabs on the card base. And I am going to attach my panel. Once again, before I attach my panel, I'm going to make sure that those little places where they meet up, the little tips of those flag banner shapes, are opposite. So the one that's on the top will be on the bottom. Hopefully that makes sense. Now I can go ahead and fold those tabs in, place my panel onto the adhesive that's on the tabs, and then I have my functioning shutter card. Now this is obviously not the card that I'm creating today. You can tell by the pictures that I showed earlier in the video, but I'm using some colored cardstock so that you can see the different pieces and how they go together. We're going to walk through creating this card one more time towards the end of the video when we do the real deal. But right now, that's just the walkthrough. Now, also included in the Lawn Fawn Shutter Card die set are these two pieces, and they look very similar, but they're actually very different. One of them is a solid piece with stitching around the edge. The other has a couple of score lines in it, and that's this one here. You're going to cut two of those, and if you want to, this is just a decorative piece here. You'll cut two of those. So these white panels that I've cut using the rectangle that does not have the score lines are meant as decorative pieces for your card flaps. So when it closes, you can have some additional pattern paper, cardstock, whatever you want there, and it will have that adorable stitching detail that Lawn Fawn is so well known for. Now these are the ones with the score lines, and I've marked the score lines for you. That little tab on the end is just your adhesive marker, so you're not actually going to fold that, but you are going to fold on the score line that's in the center. So on these outer tabs where the score line has created kind of this little tab on the end, I'm going to add that same score tape once again. And these are going to be the areas where it overlaps and hooks together. So I've removed the backer from the adhesive, and I'm taking the two pieces and adhering them together, the tab side to the non-tab side. So now I'm making my belly band for this card to hold it closed. So you can see I'm just positioning those together, and now I have the belly band. And the cool thing is, whether you create your inside panel using the standard Lawn Fawn Shutter Card die set or the add-on, you have this additional little circle that will go perfectly on the front of that belly band to cover that seam. And this makes for an adorable card. So I'm just gonna smack it on here real quick so you can see it all put together. So that is the Lawn Fawn Shutter Card die set and add-on. Now, I know that there were several steps and we went rather slow here so that you could really make sure you knew how to do this. But this is a very easy interactive card to put together. And I love how Lawn Fawn so thoughtfully designs their dies so that their interactive cards are easy to put together. Now I'm doing a little ink blending here. I am using the new Saltwater Taffy color in the Distress Oxide, as well as Picked Raspberry. And I'm blending these together. Now these probably wouldn't be your first guess on colors that might look good together, but I love the way they look. So I've blended a panel that's 5.5 by 8.5 inches so that I can have extra. And you'll notice that I put one color on and then I put the bottom color on, and then I went over the blend in the middle to make sure that those are well blended. And I did add a little bit of spun sugar at the top of this blended panel as well. Now I'm using the Lawn Fawn Shutter Card add-on die set to create the panel for the inside of my card. Now this is going to be a big pop of color when you open the card because most of my card base and pieces are going to be made from white cardstock. I'm stamping this adorable cake image. This is from the Essentials by Ellen cake stamp set, and I used the coordinating die to cut it out, and I did color it with some Copic markers, and through the magic of television, I have an adorable cake ready to go on the inside of my card. And then I've cut these gold banner pieces using the parcel box die set from the Essentials by Ellen line. So I'm taking my cake and I'm just making sure that it doesn't overlap to the outside of this panel, but I'm positioning it where it does overlap on the window. And then I'm going to stamp my sentiment here using Versamark ink. It says it's all about the sprinkles because it really is all about the sprinkles. And I'm adding some Brutus Monroe gilded embossing powder and I'm heat setting that with my Wow Heat tool. Now this is all decorative elements to decorate this panel that's on the inside of my card because the outside of my card is going to be rather simple. Now once again, I have my two banner flag shapes here and I'm folding on the score lines and I'm reinforcing those with my bone folder. And you can see I have my card base die cut from some white cardstock as well. And I realize this part is a little repetitive because I've shown you these steps before, but I really wanted to make sure you were confident in putting this together on your own. So I'm showing it a second time so that you can really get the hang of it. On this base piece, I'm folding the outer flaps in, and remember I have those diagonal score lines towards the inside of this card. And I'm adding adhesive to the flaps on these banner shaped flag pieces that are going to make my shutter mechanism. I removed the backer of the adhesive and then I lined it up with the diagonal score lines on the inside of the card, pushed it up into that fold line for the outer flap and positioned those on the inside of this card base. Now I am adding adhesive to the flaps on the inside of the card so they're folded towards the inside of the card. And I'm going to adhere my panel just to the top piece. The reason I'm doing that is because I want to be able to open and close this panel to check my positioning as I add a couple more banner shapes on the inside of this shutter. I wanted there to be kind of a surprise scene that opens up, and I think this card would be really fun to have a sentiment that appears or maybe a little critter or a small scene, but you got to make sure that you're gluing it to the base of the card. You don't want to glue anything on these tab flap banner pieces that we've positioned inside of the base. So you can see I'm adhering it to the very bottom layer here. So by only attaching the top part of this inner panel, I'm able to kind of open and close this and add things where I want inside the window, make sure that they're going to be visible. You can see I colored on the inside of the window using a Copic marker. That is a BG10 marker. And I will have the marker colors that I use to color the cake linked over at the Ellen Hudson blog as well. So if you're looking for particular Copic colors, be sure to check there. Now I'm closing my little shutter mechanism here and I'm making sure that they are opposite. So the one on the top right is on the top and the one on the bottom right is on the bottom. Then I'm going to remove the adhesive from this little tab here and I'm going to close my panel and I will have my functioning shutter card. Now you can see I am using my hand to hold everything in place. If you wanted to use a piece of low tack tape to kind of hold a couple of those pieces in place while you adhere this down, you definitely could. But look how adorable this is. I think this is such a fun birthday card, and you might be able to see that I actually tucked some sparkly star confetti in there as well to give it some extra punch and shine. I'm working on the belly band piece here. I've used the blended circle that was die cut from the center of that panel that I decorated for the inside. And I've stamped the cake again and heat embossed the happy birthday sentiment from the Essentials by Ellen cake stamp set. And I created that belly band out of some Concord and Ninth sea glass cardstock. Now I layered up that circle with another die cut circle that I created from the Essentials by Ellen Essential Circles die set. And I will show you something that I thought of later after I kind of completed the card. That would be a fun touch as well. I'm just going to show you the finished card. So I have the belly band there with that gold layer, a couple of those sparkly stars from High Supply. And when you open the card, that shutter mechanism opens to reveal that banner and sparkly scene inside. You can see I added some more sparkly stars to the panel on the inside. And that black and white pattern paper on the outside of my card is from the Essentials by Ellen Modern Graphics 2 paper pack. Now here's what I thought of later. Do you see this little frame that's cut from the Essential Circles dies? I could have totally put that around the window on the inside of this card and it would have been so adorable as well. So there you have it, a fun interactive birthday card featuring the Lawn Fawn shutter card die set and add-on. I absolutely love the way this card turned out. I love the color combination. I mean, I think I'm gonna have to use this over and over again. And luckily I blended that large panel, so I have more of this blend that I can use on other cards. As always, I will have links to the featured products used in this project in the description at YouTube. So if you're looking for something in particular, be sure to check there. Or you can head on over to the coordinating blog post. I will have that linked below as well. Over there, you'll find more still shots, more information, and a complete list of supplies. As always, thanks so much for stopping by. Thanks for hanging out with me today. I'm so glad you're here. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to give this video a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notifications here on this YouTube channel so you don't miss any of the paper crafting and card making video tutorials shared here. Thanks again for watching, and until next time, I hope you have a fabulous day.